Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 111 members present, the House is now in session. The clerk will read a journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, March 26, 2021.
Recognizing the majority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the journal from the previous day.
So orders, petitions, memorials, and other papers. Yea and nay, consent calendar number 12. House bills passed in the Senate. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 90.
Recognizing the majority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the reading of House Bill 90 be considered the reading of all the bills on the calendar.
So ordered. Message from the Senate. Senate bills introduced in the House. The clerk will read the bills and committee assignments.
Senate Bill 853, Senator Carter. House Rules by order of Sylvia Seeger, Chief Clerk.
Quorum call.
Madam Speaker. Oh, okay. Oh.
Only got 117. Clerk will take the call. There being 119 members present, the House is still in session. Report of the Committee on Economic Matters, report number 47. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 307, Labor and Employment Direct Care Workforce Innovation Program. Favorable.
The question before the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 396, Baltimore City Alcoholic Beverages Licenses, Hours of Sale. Favorable amendments. Amendment number 1.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing majority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to special order SB 396 at the appropriate time.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The bill has been special ordered to the appropriate time sometime today. Report of the Committee on Environment and Transportation, report number 46. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 137, Maryland Transit Administration Conversion to Zero Emission Buses, Zero Emission Bus Transition Act. Favorable.
Question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading. Report of the Committee on Judiciary, report number 61. The clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 515, criminal procedure, registered sex offenders, entry onto school property, favorable.
Question before the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Recognizing the gentleman from Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an amendment at the desk. Amendment 483520.
Amendment number 1.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good bill in front of us, and I want to make it better by adding in a provision that says, that's very important in my county, but that says that a registered sex offender may not reside within 1,000 feet of a school or a child care facility. The importance of this bill and of this amendment and the focus of it is to protect our children. In my county, there have been some issues regarding individuals who are on the registry list who have, in fact, moved into areas or reside in areas near education centers and schools and have even been alleged to have pointed their security cameras towards the children while on the playground. This is a growing concern, a concern of every parent, concern of everyone who has care of children. It's a good amendment. It's a bipartisan amendment, and I'd ask for your support. And I move the amendment.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. The committee took up this amendment, had a vote on this amendment, voted this amendment down. I'd ask you to stand with the committee and vote against the good delegates amendment.
Okay. On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Roll call, Madam Speaker.
Roll call.
Madam Speaker.
Clerk will take the call. The amendment fails. Any other amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading.
Okay, let's go back now that Dion is here to Senate Bill 396. I think it's favorable amendment.
It doesn't have anything. Special order calendar. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 396, Baltimore City alcoholic beverages licenses, hours of sale. Favorable amendments. Amendment number 1.
Floor leader.
Thomas?
Subcommittee. Floor leader or
I can do
subcommittee
it.
chair? Somebody.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 clarifies that the location of certain license holders is located in the south side of a certain street. Please move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendments have been adopted. Question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading. For the Committee on Health and Government Operations, report number 35. The clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 167, State Board of Social Work Examiners temporary license to practice social work. Favorable amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Happy sign you die. Be so much considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
The amendment limits the board's authority to circumstances under which the examination is unavailable to an applicant for at least 7 days
and changes the length of the temporary license to 90 days after the examination becomes readily available to the applicant. Move the amendments.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments have been adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading. For the Committee on Environment and Transportation, report number 45. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 319, Clean Energy Loan Program, Remediation and Resiliency. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Chair, Committee Chair.
Do you have the? Madam Speaker, I move to special order this bill to the end of the calendar in this session.
Question for the House is a special order SB 319 to the appropriate order.
Wait, hold on. It looks like we do have the floor report. Pardon me.
Forget what I just said. Gentleman needs to withdraw his motion, though. But
I withdraw my motion.
okay. It's taken up. Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As amended, this bill expands the type of projects that may be financed under the Clean Energy Loan Program. This amendment, it has one amendment. The amendment strikes provisions specific to grid resiliency projects from the bill. With this amendment, the language of the bill conforms to House Bill 517 as passed and rolled. Please move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 375, Agriculture, Neonicotinoid Pesticides, Sale and Storage. Favorable.
Question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 446, Department of the Environment, Supplemental Environmental Projects Database. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Be so much consider the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As amended, the bill requires the Maryland Department of the Environment to create and maintain a database of supplemental environmental projects that MDE may consider for implementation as part of a settlement of an enforcement action. Amendment number 1 makes technical changes. Amendment number 2 clarifies that the database maintained by MDE is of the special environmental projects that MDE may consider as an enforcement tool, allows MDE to consider an SEP not included in the database under certain circumstances, and further clarifies language. Move the amendments, please.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments have been adopted. Question now is adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 723, Maryland Food System Resiliency Council. Favorable.
Question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered past the third reading. Conference Committee report. Senate Bill 43. The clerk will read the bill and the Conference Committee report.
Senate Bill 43, Criminal Law, Law Enforcement Officers, Prohibition on Sexual Activity. Amendment number 1.
Chair of the Conference Committee.
Madam Speaker, please move to accept the report of the Conference Committee.
Okay, the motion for the House is to adopt the Conference Committee report. All in favor signify
Madam
by
Speaker.
saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Conference Committee report is adopted. The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Could you please explain what took place and the status of the bill now?
Yes, so what took place with the Conference Committee, there was an amendment added at the end that would basically state that if a law enforcement officer was basically prosecuted or charges were brought against him or her, that they would have the right to bring forth a defense, that the interaction was consensual, if it was with their spouse or their partner or whatever the case might be.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker. You were going to say no.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 123 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 43, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Conference Committee report, Senate Bill 200. The clerk will read the bill and the Conference Committee report.
Senate Bill 200, Natural Resources, Organized Killing Contest, Restriction, Amendment number 1.
Chair of the Conference Committee in the Annex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
Senate Bill 200 prohibits a person from sponsoring, conducting, or participating in a contest that has the object of killing coyote, fox, or raccoon for prizes or monetary awards. The Conference Committee settled on a $50 per carcass penalty. Move the report.
The motion before the House is to adopt the Conference Committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Conference Committee report is adopted. Is there any debate? Recognizing Minority Whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is the floor leader still in the annex, in the secret booth?
Yes.
Could you bring, hold on a second. Could you bring your mic up so we can hear you better to your...
Yes.
Thank you. Can you tell us what this bill does now, please?
Yes, Senate Bill 200 prohibits a person from sponsoring, conducting, or participating in a contest that has the objective of killing a coyote, fox, or raccoon for prizes or monetary awards.
Is this happening in Maryland? Do you have any recorded information about these killing contests that are currently going on?
This is the second year that we've been working on this bill. Last year, we were informed that there were two such contests in the state that we know of.
And what were those two contests? Were they for coyote, fox, or raccoons?
I don't know. There were two in the state that came under this bill.
But you're not sure what they were?
Madam Speaker, if memory serves correctly, I think they were coyote, but don't hold me to that. I'm just working off memory here. It was 2 years ago.
So they were coyote contests. What else can you tell us about these?
That the bill passed the House before.
Well, about the contests. I'm sorry. I should have been more specific. What were these coyote contests? Are they a nuisance? Are coyotes a nuisance?
They are, but these contests were seen even by a great number of sportsmen as grisly and barbaric contests that simply were intended to kill a maximum number of animals for prizes, for monetary prizes. It's not the most optimal way to control animal populations either.
Okay, well, I think my good friend from Western Maryland will share some more information. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Minority Whip.
Recognizing the gentleman from Western Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just for informational purposes, there is a coyote contest out in Garrett County in Western Maryland. That probably includes Allegheny County, too. that there's an organization called Quality Deer Management, and they are an organization that really wants to enhance and protect and conserve the deer population, and we have a big population of coyotes in western Maryland, and they're killing the fawns in the spring, killing wild turkeys and other things. So they have a contest with their members to hunt coyotes, and they do have a monetary reward for the person killing the highest number of contests. So that's one of the contests that I know of in Maryland. So we would like to see that continue. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
The floor leader in the annex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The two contests, this did come up last year. It did come up on the floor last year, this very question. DNR has looked at it and believes that the contest that the gentleman from Western Maryland is speaking of does not come under this bill.
Madam Speaker.
Minority Leader.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up question to the floor leader on the bill. Can you explain why the tournament that the gentleman from Garrett County referenced does not come under the language in the bill?
It came up in committee at a work session, and that is what DNR, when they looked at it, that was their review of it. They didn't give us a lot more detail than that.
Okay, but you don't know why?
They said that their understanding is that there are two contests in the state that did come under this, but the one in Western Maryland was a different sort of activity than this.
Could we special order this until the end of whatever so that we can get some clarity as to why certain contests that might be aligned with DNR's goals would be exempt?
Committee Chair.
I'll agree to a special order to the end of the calendar in this session.
Thank you. Thank you. And could the committee get that information to us?
Sure, we'll try to do that.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Question before the House is Special Order SB 200 to the end of the calendar or appropriate time, whenever we get the information. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill has been special ordered. Messages, Senate Bill 69. The clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 69, Cybersecurity Coordination and Operations, Establishment and Reporting.
The clerk will read the message from the Senate.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate refuses to concur in the House amendments and respectfully requests the House will recede from its position. Should the House prefer a conference committee to confer the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the Senate appoints Senator Hester chair, Senator Kagan, and Senator Riley. Said bill is returned herewith.
The clerk will read the message to the Senate.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates does not recede in the House amendments to the Senate bill and agrees to a conference committee to confer the disagreeing votes of the two houses. The Senate has appointed Senator Hester chair, Senator Kagan, and Senator Riley. The House appoints Delegate Rosenberg chair, Delegate Johnson, and Delegate Hill. Said bill is returned herewith.
Messages, Senate Bill 649. The clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 649, Procurement, MBE, Program Compliance, Review, and Oversight.
The clerk will read the message from the Senate.
The Senate refused to concur in the House amendments and respectfully requests the House recede from its position. Should the House prefer a conference committee to confer the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the Senate appoints Senator Washington chair, Senator Simon Eyre, and Senator Lamb. Said bill is returned herewith.
Clerk will read the message to the Senate.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates does not recede in the House amendments to the Senate bill and agrees to a conference committee to confer the disagreeing votes of the two houses. The Senate has appointed Senator Washington chair, Senator Simon Eyre, and Senator Lamb. The House appoints Delegate Sample Hughes chair, Delegate Rosenberg, and Delegate Belcastro. Said bill is returned herewith.
Conference committee report, House Bill 289. The clerk will read the bill and the conference committee report.
House Bill 289, Peace Orders, Workplace Violence, Amendment Number 1.
Committee chair.
Madam Speaker,
Recognizing committee chair.
That's the conference committee of the vice chair, who I think is going to speak in the annex, and I'm just killing time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Madam Speaker.
Yes, the vice chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've never been in this booth before. But yes, the conference committee amendment gets rid of, sunsets the immunity provision after 2 years, and we wish to concur or approve the conference committee report.
The motion for the House is to adopt the conference committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The conference committee report is adopted. House Bill 289 is on third reading and final passage. Recognizing the minority whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will my good friend, either here or afar, tell us what this bill does now, please?
Vice Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So the bill allows for an employer to obtain a peace order for its employees or its invitees if they think one is warranted under the provisions of the bill.
So is it basically the same thing that the House passed? You did not concur with them?
So there is one minor change. The Senate, we had an immunity provision in there for the employers. The Senate passed it. They stripped that provision, and we essentially put that provision back in with a sunset period.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 289, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Conference committee report. Senate Bill 205, the clerk will read the bill and the conference committee report.
Senate Bill 205, alcoholic beverages, sale or delivery for off-premises consumption. Amendment number 1.
It's not on the board. Oh, there it is now. Okay. Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move to concur with the conference committee report. It is similar to what we did to House Bill 12. We worked out the differences. Thank you.
Motion for the House is to adopt the conference committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The conference committee report is adopted. Senate Bill 205 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker. What's next? Where is it in the parking lot? Okay.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call.
What was the number again? 7.
There being 134 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 205, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Conference committee report, Senate Bill 762. Clerk will read the bill and the conference committee report.
Senate Bill 762, Maryland Electricians Act, revisions, amendment number 1.
Recognizing the conference committee chair in the annex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move to adopt the conference committee report.
So ordered.
The conference committee recommends rejection of the House committee amendments and adoption of the conference committee amendments. The conference committee amendments remove an exemption from the work site requirement and alter provisions relating to the low voltage industry. Move the report.
Motion for the House is to adopt the conference committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The conference committee report is adopted. Senate Bill 762 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 114 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 762, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Conference Committee report, Senate Bill 107. The clerk will read the bill and the Conference Committee report.
Senate Bill 107, Labor and Employment, Secure Maryland Wage Act, Amendment number 1.
The chair of the Conference Committee report is in the annex.
I got it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the Conference Committee report
So
and the
ordered.
attached amendments. The Conference Committee report recommends adoption of the House Committee amendments, which alters the scope of the bill. Move the report.
Motion for the House is to adopt the Conference Committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. Conference Committee report is adopted. Senate Bill 107 is on third reading and final passes. Recognizing the minority whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My good friend in the annex, can you tell us what the Conference Committee report did, please?
Certainly. Conference Committee report adopted the House amendment in particular that excludes airlines. It also strikes an exemption from the living wage law. This basically creates a secure wage for certain employees in high security areas.
What is it retroactive?
No, it's not.
So tell us who this affects now and what the wage is going to be, please.
The workers at BWI and Port of Baltimore that will be covered with the airlines out of the bill will be janitors, non-TSA security, cabin cleaners, wheelchair attendants, passenger service agents, ramp workers, baggage handlers, ticket and line agents, and other airport service workers. The wages are about 75 cents higher than the current minimum wage, and it goes up through the next several years.
So it's limited to just that,
That group
those
of
classifications of workers. And was there opposition to the bill?
There was opposition from the airlines, which we addressed, and opposition initially from BWI so that we would take out the airlines. The Maryland Department of Transportation just provided information on the bill and again supported the amendment to take the airlines out.
Okay, and if you have it handy there, if not, the vote in the Senate on this bill?
I don't think I
Looks
do.
like it was 32 to 13. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the gentlelady from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Could the floor leader tell me, I see here an opposition letter from the Maryland Judiciary, and they laid out several concerns. Were those addressed in any amendments?
I'm unaware of what those opposition
I couldn't hear her. Sorry. Could you speak louder into your microphone?
I'm sorry, I don't know what the judiciary's opposition to this bill was.
Okay, it looks like they are concerned with how heightened security interest location is defined.
We did not make any changes to the way it was defined as the bill came in.
Okay, I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 94 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 107, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker?
Clerk will take the call. There being 139 members present, the House is still in session. Calendar of third reading Senate bills number 74. The clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 946, Historic St. Mary's City Fort to 400 Commission.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 946, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading Senate bills number 69. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 49, State Government, Department of Information Technology, Cybersecurity.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 49, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 82, State Board of Examiners for Audiologists, Hearing Aid Dispensers, and Speech Language Pathologists, Maryland Music Therapists Act.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 102 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 82, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 97, Purple Line Marketing Act.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 98 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 97, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 401, Landlord-Tenant Non-Renewal of Lease Notice Requirements.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Gentleman from Queen Anne's in the annex.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Will the floor leader rise just for a quick question? I have an amendment of the desk. I'd have
Yes.
to first.
Yes.
Just on this bill, it states for the landlord has to give 90 days notice to the tenant. And is there any response back? Does the tenant have to help the landlord out with that? Do they have to give 90 days notice if they're going to leave?
I'm not quite sure I understand what you're saying.
Well, it said,
Can you pull your microphone up closer, please?
okay, if the landlord, in this bill, it asks for 90 days notice if the landlord's going to terminate the lease. Is that correct?
Well, that depends. If
On a residential lease, a one-year lease.
that is correct.
Okay. If the landlord doesn't do that, he's penalized. I'm sure if the guy doesn't want to leave, if the person doesn't want to leave, is that?
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's correct. I'm sorry. The 90 days has been stricken in the amendment, so there is no currently there is not a 90-day notice.
What is that notice?
The current notice is the same as it has been in the previous bill.
Okay. I might have had the wrong version
Right.
of the bill. I was looking at the
That was stricken.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not offering an amendment.
Is there any further debate?
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Just a quick question for clarification. What is the date time frame now?
The days for your question. The days for what?
For
Notice?
for the notice. You said it's not 90 days. What is the? You said it was
60 days.
It's back to 60 days. Thank you.
Correct. 60 days.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is there any further debate? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 92 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 401, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 673, Department of Agriculture Urban Agricultural Grant Program.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 673, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 674, Environment, Commission on Environmental Justice and Sustainable Communities Reform.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 105 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 674, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading Senate Bills number 65. The clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 299, Human Services, Trauma, Informed Care, Commission and Training, Healing Maryland's Trauma Act.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 299, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading House Bills number 109. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 836, COVID-19 Testing, Contact Tracing, and Vaccination Act of 2021.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 114 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 836, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 879, Cybersecurity Coordination and Operations, Maryland Cybersecurity Council Study and Report.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 879, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 943, Community Development Administration Live Near Your School Program Establishment.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 136 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 943, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading House Bills number 110. Clerk will read first bill.
House Bill 899, Court Civil Jury Trials, a mounting controversy.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 104 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 899, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 902, Constitutional Amendment, Civil Jury Trials.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 102 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 902, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Joint Resolution 1, Natural Resources, Fishing, Wild-Caught Blue Catfish.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, House Joint Resolution 1 is on having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Okay. Concurrence calendar number 28. The clerk will read the bill and the Senate amendments.
House Bill 23, Personal Information, State and Local Agencies, Restrictions on Access, Maryland Driver Privacy Act, Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Move to concur with the Senate amendments that are technical.
The question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 23 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 97 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 23, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 316, Conditions of Pretrial Release, Home Detention Monitoring, Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd move to concur with the Senate amendments. The Senate amendment makes a change to the work group that is included in the bill. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 316 is on third reading and final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 95 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 316, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 425, Criminal Law, Crimes Involving Computers.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The move to concur with the Senate amendments. The Senate amendments conform House Bill 425, the Senate Bill 623, which we passed in the same form. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 425 is on third reading and final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 425, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Concurrence calendar number 30. The clerk will read the bill and the Senate amendments.
House Bill 15, Governor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 conforms the bill to Senate Bill 85, which passed this House. Thank you. Move the concur with the Senate amendment.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 15 is on third reading and final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 101 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 15, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 222, Value My Vote Act, Amendment number 1.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
The Senate amendments generally bring the bill back to the version in which it was introduced. I move to concur with the Senate amendments.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Recognize the minority whip. I knew you were getting up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can you tell us what this bill does now, please?
Sure, no problem. Colleagues may recall debate on this legislation earlier this year during the session. It has to do with the rights of incarcerated individuals who are eligible to vote. So to remind the body, individuals who are serving a misdemeanor in jail or those who have not been convicted at all, who are pretrial, do have the right to vote under Maryland law. And so this bill requires SBE and Department of Corrections to create a program to ensure and guarantee that right to vote for those eligible incarcerated individuals.
Is it more prescriptive than that, or just say develop a program?
The bill that we sent over was much more prescriptive, and by the Senate amendments, those were removed. So I would say that it's a less descriptive bill. We had the drop boxes in it before, we had the ombudsman in it before, so those have specifically been removed.
Oh, so there's no more drop box in the detention center?
Correct.
Okay, so now the bill just says that the corrections has to develop a program?
Yes, they have to ensure that they create regulations around a program that corrections would have to implement. There's also, they have to ensure that incarcerated individuals get voting materials. So of course their voter registration forms and things like that. But in terms of the specifics that were outlined in the bill that passed the House, those have been removed.
So is it just, you may or may not know this, are they eligible to receive voter mail?
Yes.
So it will assure that people incarcerated can get all the candidate mailings and all of that. Will that be part of it?
That's not explicit in the bill, but yes, an individual who's incarcerated should be able to receive that kind of candidate mail.
Is mailing limited into the detention center? Like it has to be a certain kind? And
I would have to double check with corrections on their, regulations around mail, but election related mail is of course permissible.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is there any further debate? If not, House Bill 222 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 99 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 222, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 532, Gaming Video Lottery Terminals, Payout Percentages and Distribution of Proceeds, Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Senate amendments require the local impact grants distributed to Arundel County or Baltimore City as a result of the hold harmless to be paid out of the state lottery fund. Strikes a provision related to the altered percentage of VLT proceeds for Arundel County. Delays the increase in percentage of the VLT proceeds paid to facility operators in Baltimore City and Cecil County, and expands a report to the State Lottery and Gaming Control Agency. Move to concur with the Senate amendments.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 532 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 118 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 532, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1322, Primary and Secondary Education, School Personnel, Prohibition on Retaliation for Not Returning to In-Person Instruction and Work. Amendment number 1.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, move so much be considered the reading of the amendments.
Vice Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The amendments are clarifying. It also requires the county board to respond within 5 days of the receipt of notification that someone is not returning to work based on being or living with someone who is 65 years of age or older or has a medical condition. The motion is, we move to concur.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in
Madam
favor
Speaker.
signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentlelady from Carroll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think they disappeared.
No, he's there. He's
I'm
there.
here, I'm here, Delegate.
Okay. Who does this apply to now?
It applies to teachers, professionals in the schools, all teachers, all teachers and staff in the school.
So why did the committee decide just to include educational people, not other essential workers?
There are other essential workers that work within the school system.
No, I'm saying other than in the educational system. Is anyone else, any other profession, doctors, nurses? I mean, I'm just asking why the educational system is preferred and not some of these other essential workers? Or do you consider teachers essential workers?
Teachers are essential workers, and also I would just add that bill is in a different committee.
So this is just for the educational system, not for anyone else.
This is just for the education system, correct?
And just why did you just decide to do it on one segment of the population?
That's not in our committee, Delegate.
Okay, so you're saying it's another bill that's coming in front of us.
Madam Speaker, I think I can answer the question for you as well.
Recognizing the committee chair.
To answer the question from the gentlelady from Western Maryland, there are no other jobs where people are being retaliated against. And so that's why this bill is related to teachers and other school professionals, as was described by the vice chair. Because they have been retaliated against for wanting to not work if they have health issues or have people in their family with certain health issues. So that is why this bill is simply about education.
So you're saying no other profession ever gets retaliated against if they don't show up for work and they're an essential worker?
Not by the government.
Okay. I don't know if that's accurate. Thank you.
That's accurate. Thank you.
Is there any further debate? House Bill 1322 is on third reading and final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 100 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1322, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Concurrence calendar number 29. The clerk will read the bill and the Senate amendments.
House Bill 44, Clean Cars Act of 2021, Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We move to concur in the Senate amendments.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 44 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 100 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 44, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 545, Natural Resources, Licenses and Stamps, Revisions. Amendment number 1.
Is on third reading and final passage.
No, it's,
Oh.
Madam Speaker.
Oh, yeah, you.
We move to concur in the Senate amendments.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 545 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 545, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 967, Baltimore City Speed Monitoring Systems, Interstate 83, Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We move to concur in the Senate amendments.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 967 is on third reading and recognizing the gentlelady from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't have any questions. I just want to speak to the bill for a moment. But thank you very much for standing up. I don't like speed monitoring systems, and I just want this body to know why. It's not because it hurts me. I can pay this. But these bills hurt the most poor people among us. It's like a flat tax. You guys don't like that. And the reason is because the guy that's driving down the road in a Lamborghini can happily violate them and pay that bill really easily. But the person who's going back and forth to work has a way harder time paying it. And so I am not supportive of these kind of speed monitoring systems.
Recognizing committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I guess the flattest tax there is to die on an unsafe road. So I would say that this is, we in our committee have very strict rules under which we pass these kind of bills. We make sure that they are sunsetted. We make sure that you have a warning sign, a real-time speed monitor, and that the money raised from these kind of, photo radar is used to fix the problem in the road. And so with all of those items included in the bill, I would ask for you to vote green on this bill.
House Bill 967 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 95 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 967, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Clerk will take the call. There being 137 members present, the House is still in session. Calendar of third reading, Senate Bills number 58. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 592, State Child Welfare System, reporting.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 592, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 606, Correctional Officers Retirement System, Kent County.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 606, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 680, State Retirement and Pension System, Administration of Benefits, clarification.
Is on third reading and final passage. Recognizing the minority whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an amendment at the desk. It's Amendment 903-829/1.
Amendment number 1.
Move so much be considered the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This amendment will strike the bill, change the title, and insert, I'm glad I heard someone over there laugh, and insert state prescription drug benefits retirees. We've all had the retirees call us and email us and drive around and honk their horns, and I've really enjoyed it. I love seeing citizen engagement, and I think they deserve to get these benefits reinstated. So this amendment is pretty simple. It's had hearings in committees more than once, and is a great bill. So with that, Madam Speaker, I press my amendment and ask for a favorable vote.
Committee Chair.
Yeah, I'd like to special order the amendment in the bill and take it back to the Appropriations Committee for a vote.
Madam Speaker, my motion was on the floor. I pressed my amendment before the chairman stood, and my amendment is for a favorable or unfavorable vote on my amendment.
She can do. The committee chair can special. Yeah,
Her motion. Who's got the rule book? My parliamentarian in the annex. Can you look up the order of motions, please? Yes, the parliamentarian in the House and I don't always agree on things.
Madam Speaker.
Parliamentarian.
Thank you,
As you know.
Madam Speaker, first and foremost, to the minority whip, there's one parliamentarian of the House of Delegates. That is me.
I respect you, Madam Parliamentarian, and I have my own as well.
Madam, thank you, but I have the floor. Per the Speaker of the House, there's one parliamentarian of the House of Delegates who is right across the desk in the organization of the House on the first day of the session per our rules, and that is me until the Speaker decides otherwise. So, as was discussed, there is an order of precedence when it comes to the motions in terms of when they can be considered. So, what I am taking a look at is that order to confirm that a special order is okay. So if you would please give it a moment, Minority Whip.
Great, and thank you. And I would yield my time to my good friend, the country lawyer from Western Maryland, if he would go to the penalty box.
The gentleman from Carroll County in the annex.
I'm looking at my book too. Precedence of motions is set forth in Rule 83.
Parliamentarian, the parliamentarian. Please.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for the honor of serving this body. Madam Speaker, I would like to recommend that the motion to special order proceed. I'm looking at House Rule 83, as I mentioned, B9, which sets the order of precedence of motions, and the postponement takes precedence over a motion to amend. So I recommend that we move forward with Madam Chairwoman's motion to special order.
So the top motion is to adjourn sine die. Should I make a motion to adjourn sine die? Maybe we'll wait a few hours on that one.
The question before the House is special order SB 680 and the amendment to the appropriate time later today. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Roll call, Madam Speaker.
Roll call.
Madam Speaker?
to recommit.
Green supports the committee. Clerk will take the call. The bill has been special ordered. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 701, Bay Restoration Fund, County Authority to Incur Indebtedness.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 116 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 701, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 895, University System of Maryland Student Fees, Review and Spending.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 895, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 909, Capital Projects Minority Business Enterprise Goals.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will take the call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 909, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 931, Prince George's County School Facilities and Public Safety Surcharges and Report, Sunset Extension and Report.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 931, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Messages, Senate Bill 65. The clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 65, Electricity Renewable Energy Portfolio Standard, Qualifying Biomass.
The clerk will read the message from the Senate.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate refuses to concur in the House amendments and respectfully requests the House recede from its position. Should the House prefer a conference committee to confer the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the House Senate appoints Senator Feldman, Chair, Senator Augustine, and Senator Hershey. Said bill is returned to your with.
The clerk will read the message to the Senate.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates does not recede in the House amendments to the Senate bill and agrees to a conference committee to confer the disagreeing votes of the two houses. The Senate has appointed Senator Feldman, Chair, Senator Augustine, and Senator Hershey. The House appoints Delegate D.E. Davis, Chair, Delegate Dumais, and Delegate Brooks. Said bill is returned herewith.
Calendar of third reading, Senate Bills number 57. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 138, Education, Baltimore County Public Library, Collective Bargaining.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 98 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 138, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 199, Transportation, Maryland Transit Administration Funding and MARC Rail Extension Study, Transit Safety and Investment Act.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 104 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 199, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 206, State Collection Agency Licensing Board, sunset extension.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 206, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 235, Major Information Technology Development Project Fund, use of funds.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 235, have received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 240, Maryland Information Technology Development Project Fund, sources of revenue.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 240, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 256, Arts and Entertainment Districts, Artistic Work, and Arts and Entertainment Enterprise, definitions.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 256, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 556, Collective Bargaining, Maryland School for the Deaf, application and separate bargaining unit.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 97 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 556, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading, Senate Bills number 60. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 170, Transportation-Related Property, Prohibited Acts and Enforcement.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 170, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 364, Baltimore City Civil Claims Against Law Enforcement Officers of an Institution of Higher Education, Prohibition Against Non-Disparagement Clause and Settlement Agreement.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 101 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 364, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 636, Housing and Community Development, Neighborhood Revitalization, Passive House Pilot Program.
Gentleman from Talbot in the annex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Could the floor leader rise just for a couple questions?
Yes.
Floor leader.
Thank you very much. So could you explain the bill to me? I just have a question about what is a passive house pilot program. Just want to know a little bit more about the bill.
Well, this is a bill that, as you indicated, a passive house pilot program with DHCD to assist nonprofit organizations in providing students and career and technical education experiences through the renovation of residential properties.
So this is a pilot program for neighborhood revitalization. And I'm not sure I understand what a passive house pilot program is. I'm sorry to catch you in a spot like this, but I figured I would just ask since I didn't know.
I'll read it to you as it states what a passive house program is. The stated purpose of the pilot program is to assist a nonprofit organization in partnership with neighboring high schools and institutes of higher education to provide students with career and technical education experiences through the renovation of residential properties to become passive houses.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 114 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 636, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 661, Environment, Maryland Oil Disaster Containment, Cleanup and Contingency Fund and Oil Contaminated Site Environmental Cleanup Fund, Funding, Reallocation, Reimbursements, and Study.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 661, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 764, Work Group on Adaptive Reuse of Vacant Commercial Spaces.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 764, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading, Senate Bills number 71. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 4, Public Ethics, Officials and Employees, Acceptance of Gifts and Prohibited Retaliation.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Gentleman from Caroline.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I do have an amendment at the desk. It's Amendment 793222.
Amendment number 1.
All right. This is an amendment that was actually offered in committee, and it is appropriate to actually offer it on the floor because the committee vote was actually even. I believe it was 11-11 in committee, and I think it's appropriate that this body actually get an opportunity to hear about the amendment and actually vote on it. The original bill, the cross-file bill, House Bill 363, was voted out of this chamber 131-1, and the title of the bill was Maryland Public Ethics Law, Retaliation of Reporting or Participating in Investigation Prohibition. So it basically just said that you can't retaliate against someone for an investigation for a potential violation of Maryland Public Ethics Law. So it was a great bill, and I think it's the reason why a majority of us actually voted for it. The problem that I have, and the reason why I'm bringing this amendment, is on the Senate bill, and this was a late amendment over on the Senate. What it did is it basically, it's going to treat MML and it's going to treat MACO in a very similar fashion as every other lobbyist that's out there. And again, even in the committee, they struggled with that amendment from the Senate. That was a bill actually a couple of years ago, and I want to argue too that if we do want to change that law, Honestly, we're only talking about 12 months from now. Let's put it into a bill next year. Let's let it get through the committee. Let's have another voting committee, and then we'll have a debate. And then, hopefully next year, it will allow all the stakeholders to actually come in and testify on the bill, rather than a late session amendment where no one actually had an opportunity to testify on it. Unfortunately, and I think the argument against this a couple years ago, the bill a couple years ago, and also amendment this time, is that it doesn't treat other government agencies in a similar way. As you all know, if you're a local elected official, either from the county or a municipality, you know that MML and MACO, they're just an arm of local government. That's all they are. They're not a special interest. They don't represent an industry. They don't represent any private companies. They don't have a political action committee. They don't endorse candidates. And it doesn't matter whether Michael Sanderson uses MACO's credit card or if your county executive uses theirs. It doesn't matter. There's no difference. And the money's coming from the same coffers. And it's important for us, especially in the smaller counties, especially where we represent, I have, I don't know, over 20 municipalities in my district. They don't have an office on the circle. They don't. They don't have a team of attorneys representing them. So they can't come to Annapolis, they can't take you to lunch and explain to you the important things that are happening inside of their town or inside of their county. They can't do that. They rely on MML, they rely on MACO to do that for them. So what this amendment does is it basically strikes the Senate amendment. And so, Madam Speaker, I do press the amendment. Thank you.
Floor Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you to the delegate for sending the amendment to me beforehand. Friends, colleagues, I'd urge you to resist this amendment. First, just know that we have already passed and is headed to the governor's desk HB 363 that is this bill with the amendment. But I also do want to address this amendment because this is an important bill. It's about transparency and accountability to our constituents. Right now, MML and MACO, who many of us have great relationships with, we work with them on an ongoing basis, none of that will change because of this bill. But they are they are given special treatment aside from the Maryland Association of Community Colleges, Maryland Sheriff's Association, Maryland Association of Municipal Wastewater, Maryland Chiefs of Police, the Maryland Association of Soil Conservation Districts, all these other associations that also represent constituents and work as associations, they are already covered by our gift prohibition laws. All this bill does is say we are also going to cover MML and MACO. Now, I represent both a municipality and a county. So I work with MML and MACO both. And I recognize that they have an interest. Sometimes I agree with them, sometimes I don't. Just like sometimes I agree with my city council members and sometimes I don't. But this bill won't change any of that. I will still have a relationship and talk with them on a regular basis. But what it will do is make sure that our constituents, the people who are watching right now and who elect us, have transparency and more assurances about where we are coming from and who's able to give us gifts or not. And so this bill is just about strengthening our ethics laws. I encourage you to vote against this amendment. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Western Maryland.
I have a question for my friend from Baltimore City. She used the word transparency. What transparency means to me is you do it in the open. So whether we set our gift limit or our regulations on what we can and cannot do, whether we set it at $5 or $5,000, we would be transparent if we said we have to publicly disclose that. And individuals can choose to take that however they want. We just can't hide it. Now, there's another concept that's called banning something. So banning something doesn't make it non-transparent. It bans it. It says you can't do that. You can't take that. You can't engage in that activity whatsoever. So is this really about this particular provision with respect to MACO and MML? Is it about transparency of requiring you to disclose, for example, you went and you were a speaker or a moderator at a MACO or MML sanctioned event, and perhaps there was some type of compensation, not compensation, that's the wrong word, reimbursement involved in that.
Good catch.
Is that transparency says you have to disclose that, or are we banning that? Because I think that's one of the concerns people have is, are you allowing me to participate fully in the activities of these organizations for which I'm not receiving a gift, but because of the nature of the organizations, perhaps there's costs involved from which I'm allowed to be reimbursed. I don't care about disclosing that and being transparent to our voters. I do care about banning it. Can you give me some sense of where this bill comes down?
Sure. So when I say transparency, I mean transparency about decision making and what's driving our decision making. And I think that's what all of the gift prohibitions get to, so that our constituents know that we are not voting certain ways because of potential gifts that we're giving. This bill has to do with gift prohibitions. And just like every other other associations are banned from giving us gifts, except for there are some specified exceptions that many of us know, well, hopefully all of us know. This bill will put MACO and MML into that same category, where they are banning gifts except for these exceptions that already exist.
Do the exceptions include, for example, the educational conferences and activities that these organizations put on that we're all familiar with, that bring political, legislative, local advocacy organizations from across the state together in different comments? Does it ban or change the way that legislators can participate in those activities?
No. What it does is it says if MML, for instance, and MACO, they're having their conferences this summer, they invite the whole General Assembly, which they always do, then it is not prohibited.
Okay. Thank you for your clarification. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Madam Speaker.
Chairman of the committee.
Thank you very much. Yes, I would urge you to vote against this amendment. Let me just let you know what the bill as amended will not do. If a small town their mayor wants to buy a lunch to describe legislation, this doesn't ban that small town mayor from doing that. If MML, for example, and I think MACO also, they have a beginning of session reception that they invite everyone to, or perhaps they could choose to only invite a committee to it. That would not be altered by this bill either. And also, some of us are fortunate enough to be invited to speak at their conference, and they comp our room so that we can afford to stay in Ocean City for the day that we are actually speaking. This bill will not affect that either. And so, it's essentially it is putting MACO and MML in the same status as all those other organizations that the floor leader mentioned. It's a good bill with this it's a good bill as amended by the Senate. So I would ask you all to resist the floor amendment here.
This gentleman still pressing his amendment.
I do press my amendment, and for a couple reasons. One, Mr. Chairman is absolutely correct that the local elected officials can still do that. However, the biggest difference, though, when we go back home, they don't have an established relationship with each and every one of us. They don't know who to go to. They don't. They don't know the ins and outs of government. They don't know the nuances here in Annapolis. Most of them have no clue. They rely on MML and they rely on MACO to do that. And I also wanted to make the distinction that MML and MACO is a lot different than that list that was provided by the floor leader as well. The FOP, they're focused on a single issue. They're not elected officials. They don't represent exactly the same people who we represent. MML and MACO, there are arms of local government. They are local government. Again, there's no difference between your town coming over here, and I think Mr. Chairman actually did say that. There's no difference between your local elected official coming over here and doing it, and under current law, and MML and MACO doing it. Now we're just stripping MML and MACO away from that opportunity to better serve your local elected officials.
Madam Speaker, very quickly.
Committee Chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I represent 95% of my constituents live in municipalities. I represent Gaithersburg and Rockville, and occasionally they will buy me dinner, and they will call me into the offices, and there'll be sandwiches or whatever. But the real source of the power that these municipal officials have is the fact that the city of Gaithersburg, the city of Rockville, they represent 50% of my constituents. And it's not the meal. It's not any of that. It's the fact that we represent the same people. And I think that would also be the case in your instance. You have lots of small municipalities, I believe you said. And so I'm mentioning this only because I want you to be assured that with the bill as amended in the Senate, it will not diminish the ability of small towns with tiny budgets to have their point of view expressed effectively, because number one, you represent the same people as they do, so you have very common interests. And number two, MML still has the ability to come into my committee or into Ways and Means or wherever and make their point on behalf of the 1.6 million people who live in municipalities in the state of Maryland.
Maker of the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to leave you all with this. What is it going to hurt to wait another year? What's it going to hurt to actually have a bill drafted for next year? We can go through the entire public process, let all stakeholders weigh on it, have a voting committee, bring it to the floor, let's vote on it there. That's the proper way to do it, not in a last-minute amendment on a Senate bill, and then we put it in the House bill, we concur with the Senate in a conference. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. Let's do it the right way, and I don't know that much is going to happen between now and next year anyhow that's going to prevent, you know, anything awful from happening. I mean, we've been doing this for a very, very long time. Let's just do it the right way. Let's have a bill, and let's go through the process. Thank you.
On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye. Oh. Oppose? The noes have it. Amendment fails. Senate Bill 4 is on third reading and final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 116 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 4, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 116, Department of the Environment, Office of Recycling Market Development.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 130 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 116, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 308, Higher Education Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship Eligibility.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 136 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 308, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 630, Education, Adult High School Pilot Program, Funding and Grants.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 128 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 630, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 732, Economic Development Maryland Innovation Initiative University Partnership Pilot Program Establishment.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change the vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 135 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 732, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 901, Public Safety, Emergency Management, Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund.
Madam Speaker,
is on third reading and final passage.
Madam Speaker.
I have to say the
Sorry.
announcement. Okay, I see you over there. Is there any debate? Recognizing the gentlelady from Howard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to make sure that we took a moment to understand what this bill does, because it could be of benefit to each and every one of your local jurisdictions. My senator in District 9 sponsored this bill after we tried to find multiple solutions to funding flood mitigation projects in Ellicott City. So when we had this problem in Ellicott City, there weren't a lot of systemic funding solutions. We were able to, and very grateful for getting funding from the state capital budget, but beyond that, we were looking for solutions for the entire state, and that's what this bill does. And so what I want you all to understand that's really critically important is that this bill takes advantage of the STORM Act, which is a federal act that incentivizes resiliency revolving funds. So this bill would establish a resiliency revolving loan fund financed by $25 million in state bonds. That's what you're voting on today. The STORM Act will put in 9 times that, so this fund will become $250 million. And that money is available to local jurisdictions to borrow at no interest and long-term terms, long-term years terms. So the point is, once you have that $250 million established, then you can also take advantage of the federal BRIC financing, which will give your jurisdiction 7.5 times what you borrow from the fund. So the bottom line is, if you have a $40 million project in your local jurisdiction for any kind of resiliency project you might have, you can borrow $10 million from this fund, get another $30 million in federal grant funding, and only have to pay back $10 million to the revolving loan fund. Very important financing mechanism that will not go against your county bonds that you need for schools. So I urge you to vote yes on this bill.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 136 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 901, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. House Bill amended in the Senate, House Bill 581. The clerk will read the bill and the Senate amendments.
House Bill 581, Labor and Employment Standards During an Emergency, Maryland Essential Workers Protection Act, Amendment number 1.
Recognize.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The committee moves not to concur with the Senate amendment and appoint conferees.
Motion before the House is to not to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendments are rejected. Clerk will read the message to the Senate.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates refuses to concur in the Senate amendments and respectfully requests the Senate recede from its position. Should the Senate prefer a conference committee to confer the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the House appoints Delegate Wilson chair, Delegate D.E. Davis, and Delegate Dumais. Said bill is returned herewith.
Concurrence calendar number 31. The clerk will read the bill and the Senate amendments. Got that still up there. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 1245, Guaranteed Access Grant and Next Generation Scholars of Maryland, alterations, amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We move to concur with the Senate amendments. Amendment number 1, there's only one amendment. It adds 10th graders to be eligible for the program and restores the funding to the program. Move to concur.
Question before the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? No. The ayes have it. House Bill 1245 is on third reading and final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 105 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1245, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 1374, Prior Authorizations of State Debt, alterations, amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move to concur with the Senate amendments. There are two. One is technical, and the second amendment makes date and clarifying changes to certain programs. Move to concur.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. House Bill 1374 is on third reading and final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1374, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 1153, Names of Entities with Physician Membership, Approval Requirement, Exemption, amendment number 1.
Economic Matters. Recognizing the chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Motion to concur with the Senate amendments. The Senate amendments removes a required notice to the Board of Physicians, and it allows MedCat to refer a name to the Department of Health rather than to the Office of the Attorney General.
Question before the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. House Bill 1153 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1153, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1288, Baltimore City 40th District Alcoholic Beverages, amendment number 1.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move to concur with the Senate amendments. The Senate amendments authorize the board to issue a Class BD7 BWL license instead of a Class C BWL license in a specified area of Baltimore City if the applicant meets certain conditions. And it establishes boundaries for the area. Move to concur.
Question for the House is to concur in the Senate amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. House Bill 888 is on third reading and final passage. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
1288. She was reading it. My sheet says 888. Oh. 1288. Just seeing whether you're paying attention. Okay. Clerk will take the call. There being 137 votes in the affirmative, HB 1288, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the calendar of third reading Senate bills number 73.
Senate Bill 888, Arundel County Speed Monitoring Systems, Maryland Route 175, Jessup Road.
Is on third reading and final passage.
Madam Speaker.
Recognize the gentleman for Anne Arundel.
I have an amendment at the desk. Amendment number 373120/1.
Amendment number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very simple amendment. Public trust is at an all-time low. The public will be extremely disappointed if we voted with this bill without this amendment. This simple amendment will let our constituents know that we don't think we are better than them and that we should be not treated any differently. This amendment simply states that the drivers of a motor vehicle of a House of Delegates registration plate or a senator legislation plate may not be exempt from the civil citation and penalty under this subsection. If you vote against this amendment, you recognize your privilege and utilize your privilege to avoid the consequences that any of your constituent, whether it's Joe Schmo or Asia Rodriguez, will receive for speeding. If you are not above the law, please support this amendment. What this amendment will do to make sure that if you have delegate tags or senator tags, you are not exempt from getting speed tickets. I move the amendment.
Floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the gentleman yield for a question?
Yes.
Did you run this by the Anne Arundel delegation? Because this bill came in with a vote from the Anne Arundel delegation.
So the Anne Arundel delegation have a copy of this amendment, and so does the chairman of the committee.
That's not my question.
They have it.
My question was, did it have a vote in the delegation?
We did not have a vote in delegation because this amendment came in very late.
That answers my question. Ladies and gentlemen, I would ask you to resist this amendment. This bill came in with a favorable vote in the Anne Arundel delegation. This amendment hasn't been voted on in the delegation. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, it doesn't matter whether this has been voted in delegation or not. This amendment is important to restore the trust in our constituent that we're not better than them and we're not above the law. It doesn't matter. The chairman of the delegation has a copy of the amendment, and she chose not to take action on it. So I still move the amendment because this is a very important amendment that we need to add to the bill. And mind you, Anne Arundel County does not have any speed cameras. This will be the first speed camera in Anne Arundel County. I move the amendment.
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you. Just a quick question. I just want to understand, either the floor leader or the gentleman from Anne Arundel County, my good friend. I have no idea. If I'm driving a House of Delegates tag, I will not be fined under this? I just want to make sure because I know whether is that accurate?
So this amendment will ensure that if you're driving with a delegate tag, that you will get a ticket if you're speeding.
So if I'm driving with a delegate tag and I'm speeding and I get this, I won't get it currently how the bill is written?
So we don't believe that delegate tags or senator tags actually get tickets. And with this amendment will ensure that if you have delegate tags or senator tags, you're not going to get a ticket. It's just to make sure that we have checks and balances and we're not treated any differently than our constituents.
Thank you.
Chairman of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I can say quite authoritatively on behalf of many people in this chamber and in the Senate that having a House of Delegates or a state Senate license plate does not protect you from getting tickets. Period.
Actually, Madam Speaker,
The maker of the motion.
that is not entirely true. We were not talking about police officer pulling you over. There is no record. We are talking about speed cameras, and there is no record of delegates or senators receiving speed tickets when they have their delegates tags. Again, this is just to ensure that if you are a delegate or a senator and you speed, you will get a ticket just like everyone else. I press the amendment.
Madam Speaker,
The majority whip.
this is a local bill, isn't it? And if it's a local bill, what is the wishes of the delegation chair? What was the vote in your committee, in your delegation?
The delegation vote, I believe, was 8 to 4 to 3. So for the bill, as it was.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Young lady from Baltimore County.
I can also say with some very, very big authority that there are definitely times when delegate tags do not result in the ticket that someone should have gotten. Trust me.
Gentleman from St. Mary's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Quick question of the floor leader.
Yeah.
So we have a public road here that's getting a speed monitoring system, and that falls under, you believe, local courtesy?
This is a local bill. And
Might be a
actually,
local bill.
We have a lot of these bills that come into our committee that we have voted on and passed out on this floor. So
But-
yeah, it is a local bill.
But anyone from the state or anyone from really in the entire country can drive down this road, correct?
Certainly, but when addressing the excessive speed and all of the accidents that we hear about on these roads, these camera bills, the request for camera, come in as local bills. And what happens, and the reason why they're local bills, is because they have to be approved by the local jurisdiction before the cameras can be put up.
But ultimately, they need General Assembly approval before going into effect. Let me ask you one other question, because I do tend to have a lot of friends that live in Anne Arundel County. If I drive up from St. Mary's to visit my friend up there in Anne Arundel County, I drive through the speed monitoring system. I do not have delegate tags, so if I'm speeding, I would get a ticket, correct? Yes.
Yes, you would.
Now, can you assure me that if I put my delegate tags on my car, would I still get a ticket?
I would imagine that you would. I do know senators and delegates with senator and delegate tags who have gotten tickets through speed cameras.
So if
There's nothing in the law that says you're not going to get it.
So let me ask one further question. This amendment would only ensure that that does take place. So you're saying it's already currently taking place. This amendment would only ensure that that would definitely take place, since there seems to be some questions in the chamber whether that actually has happened.
Body, again,
So
there's
the
nothing
amendment,
in the
I guess, would
law-
have no harm.
There's nothing in the law that says if you have your delegate or senator tags, you are not going to get a ticket. If you're speeding, I would urge you to reject this amendment. I'm not quite sure what's behind this amendment, but what I will say is that it wasn't voted on in the delegation, so I would ask you to respect the vote of the delegation. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Maker of the
Thank
motion.
you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So I guess the point is here is not whether it's local courtesy or not. It's what's the difference between right and wrong. If you want to make sure, like the lady, the floor leader mentioned, that there's nothing in the law that says that you can't or you can, what this amendment does, it will make sure that if you have a delegate tag or a senator tag, you will get a ticket just like anybody else. It's not that difficult and has nothing to do with local courtesy. Now, the Anne Arundel delegation chose not to have a vote on this because this was offered today. I sent the chairman a copy of the amendment this morning, and ironically, on other bills that we offered amendments, the delegation took action. On this one, she chose not to take action, which maybe leads me to believe that she believes that this is not just a local courtesy bill, and she is not against or for the amendment. So what I'm asking with this bill, if you're a delegate or a senator, you should not be treated any differently than if you are a regular citizen. I press the amendment. And with this, I'd like to take a vote if you want to not accept the amendment.
The chair of the Anne Arundel County delegation in the annex.
I'm short enough, Madam Speaker. I barely have to lift this. Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I got the amendment at 2:59. It is now 3:04. That's number one. Number two, I reject this amendment because it is a solution looking for a problem. We have had individuals who have stated right here, right now, that they have received tickets from speed cameras. So what I suggest the good gentleman from Anne Arundel County does is take a survey and get some data and come back next year with a bill of this sort. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Maker of the motion. Gentlemen, are you pressing your motion?
I am pressing the motion,
Okay.
and also, if she'd like me to take a survey, I'm happy to hold the bill until we take a survey for the second session, too.
No.
So, yes, I am pressing the motion.
On
to
the
make sure that we
amendment,
treat it
all
equally.
in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose?
Roll call, Madam Speaker.
Roll call.
Madam Speaker?
Clerk will take the call. The amendment fails. Senate Bill 888 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 93 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 888, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Joint Resolution 4, Natural Resources, Fishing, Wild-Caught Blue Catfish.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, Senate Joint Resolution 4 is, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading, Senate Bills number 70. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 187, Criminal Procedure, Forensic Genetic Genealogical DNA Analysis, Searching, Regulation, and Oversight.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 138 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 187, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 490, Anne Arundel County Board of License Commissioners, Chief Inspector.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate?
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an amendment at the desk. Amendment number 353123-1.
Amendment number 1.
Colleagues, I think it's fair to say that we've spent a great deal of time in this body debating and working on police and law enforcement reform bills. And the goal of those bills has been to create greater accountability, oversight, and transparency. I think transparency is the magic word here. In fact, on Saturday, we passed out body-worn cameras on a vote of 94 to 43. And that's what this amendment seeks to do. Right now, we have alcohol commissioners, 3 men, that are in charge of oversight of this new position, chief inspector, that we're creating here, taking his salary and possibly quadrupling it or making it 5 times more. Whether that's warranted or not doesn't really matter to me on this amendment. This man or woman in the future who is going to be in charge of being the chief inspector for alcohol carries a badge, can possibly carry a weapon, and is in charge of enforcing all alcohol laws. He's been featured twice now on the nightly news and in paper. Here's what one of the articles says. The object of this is not for the liquor board to make money or anybody else. It is a matter of saying, it's just saying you've been warned, probably
a few times, and now it's time for you to listen up. From this chief inspector. They rated 500 out of 565 local establishments. And he wields a tremendous amount of power, which is fine. But we're trying to create transparency. If we can have this chief inspector wear a body cam, doesn't that ensure greater transparency, just like we did with SB 71? There could be great peril for somebody if they raid an establishment and something goes wrong. And this chief inspector, who answers to 3 men who have been appointed by the governor, 3 men, that's his oversight, 3 men with no law enforcement background, all they know is they've been appointed by the governor. That's a tough situation. No rules written in the Anne Arundel County policy book on what a chief inspector does. It just says that these 3 men, with no real accountability to the county, oversight. So if something were to go wrong, wouldn't we all be better? Wouldn't we all be better if we had a body cam on this chief inspector so we'd know what happened if something, God forbid, goes wrong? I don't know about you guys, but I spent a lot of time from when we got shut down last year till this year answering calls from restaurants and bars telling me these inspectors are coming in. Half the time they're not wearing a mask, or they're sneaking in and citing us for things that they're not even doing. And they wreaked havoc on many restaurants. I know they're just doing their job, but sometimes there was no consistency. I'm sure you guys heard it too. Oftentimes I heard, we have no idea what the rules are. It's almost like they're making them up. This chief inspector and some of the other inspectors became tent experts. So all this amendment does is create more transparency, a little more accountability, and God forbid if something goes wrong, at least now we've got a body cam on this chief inspector. And with that, I move the amendment, Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's been fascinating being a part of the Anne Arundel County delegation meeting this morning. I appreciate it, but I guess I would say this. When we talk about local courtesy, one of the key tenets that I think people forget is this: as long as it doesn't have statewide implications. This has major statewide implications, so in and of itself, it should not be an amendment just for Anne Arundel County. If we're going to do something like this, this should be a statewide bill with a full hearing, full vetting, so forth. So again, while I appreciate the invitation here, this is something, as long as it's dealing with Anne Arundel County only, this is something I believe the delegation should work out and then come and let us know. It's not something that I believe we should, for a policy decision like this, we should be doing on the fly, on the floor. So with that, I would urge the body to reject the amendment.
Anne Arundel County Delegation Chair in the Annex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just for the record, we did vote on this amendment, and thank you to the maker of the amendment from Anne Arundel County who presented the amendment to me on Saturday. We voted on this amendment. The vote was 9-4, 9 against the amendment, 4 in favor, 1 excused, and 1 absent. I urge the body to resist the amendment.
Madam Speaker.
Maker of the amendment.
I would agree some very wise words came out of the chair from Economic Matters. Maybe this should be a state bill. Maybe we should just push it back to the delegation, and we'll hold this till next year. I'd be welcome of doing that. If that's not going to be accepted, let's set an example in Anne Arundel County, because it does affect everybody in this room. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. I've certainly seen a few of in the restaurants and establishments down here. And I think that we all recognize this is a good amendment. It's so good, maybe it should go statewide. But if our only option right now is to do it in Anne Arundel County, Madam Speaker, I push the amendment.
Gentleman from Prince George's in the annex. On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Roll call, Madam Speaker.
Roll call.
Madam Speaker.
Clerk will take the call. The amendment fails.
Madam Speaker?
Senate. Gentlelady from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an amendment at the desk. Amendment number 943325.
Amendment number 1.
So much to be considered the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Along the same vein as my colleague from Anne Arundel County, I have an amendment to make the people in this body, as well as the citizens of Anne Arundel County, much safer when their chief inspector comes into their business establishments. Madam Speaker, this would restrict the ability of the chief inspector in Anne Arundel County to enter an establishment only between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m., absent exigent circumstances. I think this speaks to some concerns this body has with over heavy-handed government intrusion, and I hope the body will accept this as a friendly amendment to keep the diners and the business owners of Anne Arundel County and the members of this body who eat there much, much safer. And with that, Madam Speaker, I would press my amendment.
Chair of the committee.
Urge the body reject, same reason.
On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Slow.
Roll call, Madam
Roll
Speaker.
call.
Madam Speaker.
The clerk will take the call. The amendment fails.
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an amendment at the desk, amendment number 223126/1.
Amendment number 1.
Thank you. Move so much be considered the move reading the amendment.
So ordered.
I'd like to give the body a little bit of a slight background on this bill. I know it's a local bill, but many of you weren't on the Anne Arundel delegation. So when this bill initially came in, it came in with a request for an increase of salary between 5 times to 8 times, and would have raised the salary of the chief inspector from $11,000 to a range between $50,453 to $85,737. Boy, when I saw that, I thought we were all in the wrong business. But we currently also have 18 part-time inspectors that make $7,000 a year. Under this bill as written, the chief inspector will be making anywhere between 4 times to 7 times than his part-time inspectors. We spent a lot of times in delegation and subcommittee and committee, and there was a lot of discussion whether we need this position or not to be increased and the salary, and we reached a great compromise in the House, which increased the salary to $30,000. And during those discussions, we were told that because of the pandemic, the chief is required now to work more hours, and we need to pay him for the hours that he's worked. We asked for data and facts, whether this is going to be needed in the future, or we were told that they're not sure and they cannot predict the future. Ultimately, the House agreed on $30,000, and it was passed this body unanimously. The senators, however, felt differently. They wanted to have the increase between 300 to 500% and give him the range between, or her, $30,789 and $52,319, and would leave it up to the commissioners. Those commissioners are political appointees to decide whether they pay him the lower end of the scale or the top end of the scale or anywhere in between. We asked for a list of qualification of such position, and we were told, don't worry about it, he's a good guy, we need to pay him more, and he deserves a raise. I firmly believe if we're going to pay someone for a position or give someone a raise, that it should be based on experience and qualification and not on political favors for a friend. I'm asking this body to honor what the hard work that this House did and the delegation and allow the bill to go in, but start it at the bottom of the range, which is $30,789, and I move the amendment.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Move to reject the amendment, same reason.
Gentleman's pressing his amendment.
Yes, ma'am, I'm pressing the amendment.
On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Madam Speaker.
Clerk will take the call. The amendment fails.
Madam Speaker, I have another amendment at the desk.
Of course. Gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Amendment number 453122/1.
Amendment number 1.
So much for considering the amendment.
So ordered.
This amendment will basically delay the effective date of this bill until 2022. The liquor board in Anne Arundel County is currently funded by restaurants and licensees. Sometimes they have a surplus and sometimes they don't. And guess what? This year, ladies and gentlemen, they are in the red, which means they don't have any money to pay those increases. Yes, you've heard this correctly. They are in the red by $131,000, $762.69. The aftermath of the pandemic has been catastrophic, and many restaurants might not survive, and the budget will shrink. So what this amendment will do, it would delay the effective date until 1 year, because this could potentially, if there's not enough money for raising fees, and the last thing we want to do. And the implementation date will be delayed until 2022, until the liquor board gets their financial house in order, and I move the amendment.
Committee chair.
Move rejection of the amendment.
Madam Speaker, may I know why?
Same reason.
Thank you.
On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Roll call.
Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
One more.
Clerk will take the call.
Madam Speaker,
The amendment fails.
I have an amendment at the desk.
Gentleman from Anne Arundel.
It will be the last one, I promise. Thank you. So amendment number 653929/1.
Amendment number 1.
So much be considered reading the amendment.
So ordered.
This amendment is very simple. All it does, it will make sure that if the liquor board fund is in the negative, the raise does not go until the board meets its obligation and some of the other bills that we have passed this year. So if there isn't enough money, this bill, particular into the chief inspector, does not go into effect until they have enough money in the fund to pay for his salary. I move the amendment.
Committee chair.
Same thing.
I am shocked.
Madam
Speaker, I press the amendment.
On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Roll call, Madam Speaker.
Roll call.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you very much for allowing me to offer my amendments.
Clerk will take the call. The amendment fails. Senate Bill 490 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk
Madam
will
Speaker.
take.
Sorry.
Gentleman from Calvert.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I know this is an Anne Arundel County matter.
Yes,
but
it is.
It is. But my brother Scott, who's worked his entire life in the restaurant business as a restaurant owner, owns a restaurant in northern Anne Arundel County. And when he was considered non-essential, his business, it essentially almost ran him out of business. And then finally, this is in 2020, finally when he was able to open his business, he had to open it outside in the hottest part of the summer. It was during that time that the Anne Arundel County Board of License Commissioners, in conjunction with the Anne Arundel County Health Department, hired people on boats to take pictures of his patrons outside, which is the only place they could really sit, in 90+ degree heat. As you might expect, when people are finally happy to go out to eat and sit outside because restaurants have been closed so long, and you're in the 90-degree heat, someone goes to the restroom, they stand up outside, they walk to the restroom, and briefly pull down their mask. Briefly, because it's 90+ degrees outside.
Does the gentleman have an amendment?
No, this is on third reader, Madam Speaker. It's on third reader. And so, it was at that time that individuals were on boats taking pictures. So, you not only have a business that's not essential, running my brother out of business and all of the other restaurants out of business, but then you have an incredibly aggressive Board of License Commissioners in Anne Arundel County that, for whatever reason, chose to further shut down the restaurants in the month of August when the only place that you could sit was outside. This is a fact. This happened. And it has been happening since the pandemic started in this county. I stand up on this bill because I have a brother in the business in this county, and my family lives in this county now. And I have to say, we have to figure out a better way to help these businesses than to just constantly find different ways to hit them. And remember, he's getting hit in every way imaginable. Whether it's, the tax burdens and the regulatory burdens, the pandemic, and now this. And now this. Now hiring someone and creating this huge structure in the Board of License Commissioners in Anne Arundel County, whose sole purpose is, in my opinion, this is my opinion, to continue this absurd overregulation of outdoor dining and indoor dining. And so, Madam Speaker, for all those reasons, and I thank you for letting me stand, for all those reasons, I'm voting no on this bill.
On the bill, clerk will take the call.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 97 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 490, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 550, Sheila E. Hickson Behavioral Health Services Matching Grant Program for Service Members and Veterans Establishment.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 139 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 550, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Senate Bill 637, Community Development Administration Live Near Your School Program Establishment.
It's on third
Madam
reading
Speaker.
and final passage. Gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just had a quick question for the floor leader, and I apologize. I know this House version just came up, and I just want to clarify before voting on this bill.
Floor leader.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. So I just want to make sure I understand correctly if I want to change my vote here. If I graduated from Towson University, for example, I'm able to get, I guess, a better loan or mortgage, or how does it work with the college aspect of this?
Within the Department of Housing and Community Development, they offer loans within that department. And what this bill does is that it establishes a Live Near Your School program. It is not a requirement that this program be funded, but it authorizes the program to be funded. And there are certain requirements that you must meet in order to be considered a student or a grad student within the program. But this authorizes DHCD to provide you a loan within a certain area. Now, the primary reason for this is because it's been proven that when you graduate from a particular college or university, and your chances of staying in that area have increased. And that's what this program is attempting to do. It is not a mandatory funded program. It is an authorization for funding. And if I may add, it may not have any bearing on it, but this bill was voted 47-0 in the Senate, and now it is here before us to vote out.
Okay, and that does help because I get the authorization part. So I guess my question would be, would it authorize somebody, obviously, that I mentioned from, say, Towson University to get a better loan when Towson, and I understand the intent because home ownership is very expensive, especially in the state, and especially in Towson, for example. And I love Towson. I went there, and I would love for more people that can afford to do it to live there. But I guess my other question is, it authorize, say, somebody in a community college to get the same benefit? If they say only did 2 years and then went to just right to work in the professional world from there.
In the way the bill is written, it states an undergraduate level, graduate level, or professional degree program. That's what it says in the bill.
Okay. So I guess then that is a yes then. Well, okay, and I appreciate answering all those. And my last, I guess, concern, and I don't know if this is a question or a statement, is if somebody went right out of high school, didn't go to college, went into work, they would not be able to get a certain loan and live in a neighborhood like Towson. But this bill would help somebody who graduated, which, again, I'm not saying I'm against that. I want people to live in Towson. But somebody would not be able to get the same benefit because they didn't graduate, is how I understand it. And I just want to make sure that that's not an inaccurate statement or not.
In the bill, there are certain requirements in terms of credits that are necessary. 120 credits in the undergraduate level program, or 30 credits in a graduate level or professional program.
Well, thanks for your answers.
Gentleman from Queen Anne's and the Annex.
I'll get it right this time, Madam Speaker. I called you Madam Chair before. I apologize. The floor leader, just a quick question on this. This policy, as far as giving some advantage to somebody that graduated from a school, has that been run by the realtors?
You're referring to the Real Estate Association?
Yes, I'm sorry, National Association of Realtors.
I do not know the answer to that, to be honest with you.
Okay, are there any ethics violation in this? This almost sounds like some form of steering. You're going to give an advantage to a group over another group. I mean, if I was a trade worker, a air conditioner technician that didn't really go there, I went through my company's apprentice program, I couldn't participate in this?
Within the Department of Housing and Community Development, there are a number of loan assistance programs that they have where they have specific or certain groups that can apply for loans within the certain requirements under the program. There are a number of programs within DHCD, and this is just another one.
So it's showing preference over somebody that went to college versus somebody that did not. It's giving them a preference to buy a home.
Within Department of Housing and Community Development, there are a number of programs where they give loans to persons based upon certain criteria. This is simply another one.
Okay, fine. It looks like it's kind of preferential treatment. Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Young
Speaker.
lady from Carroll.
Thank you. I have a question for the floor leader. Back here. Mr. Floor leader, you look really sharp today in that. Mine didn't fit, so I couldn't wear it today. Sorry. I was just reading the bill real quick, and it sounds like a good program, but it says it's only for public institutions of higher education. Why is that?
Why is the bill written the way it is? Is that your question?
No, I was just wondering why it didn't include like Johns Hopkins or McDaniel College in Westminster. I mean, why is it just public colleges?
Well, I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, the way the sponsors wrote the bill, this was their intent.
Let me ask you, I'll tell you why I'm asking the question specifically. In McDaniel College, which is in our district, they're trying really hard to attract a diversified student body, and they've done a really good job of that. And we'd like to keep some of that diversity in Carroll County. But if this program will not pertain to these folks that are coming in, going to school because they're at a private institution, even though they're getting a huge amount of financial aid. So I just wondering, the same with the Hopkins in Baltimore, you would think you'd want some of those people to stay there as well, Goucher, whatever, the other colleges. I just was wondering if it was specifically meant for, what the reasoning was. It's a good program. I just wish it applied to all college students and not just ones that go to certain schools.
I'm not really certain I understand your question.
My question is, why does it only pertain to public institutions and not private colleges like the ones that I just suggested? McDaniel College, people who go to McDaniel College will not be able to take advantage of this program.
Well, if there was no amendment or discussion to provide the schools of which you're speaking of,
So you didn't
therefore
consider.
we're just voting on the bill as written before us now. If that particular type of institution had been presented to us, perhaps we would have considered it, but it did not, and therefore we just have what's before us today.
No, I thank you. I think it's a nice idea. I just wish it pertained to all students that go to all schools in the state of Maryland, but thank you for answering that.
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Talbot.
Thank you. I apologize for dragging this out because this bill's moved pretty quickly without a lot of discussion. And I was going through the fiscal note, and it mentions that local expenditures increase to the extent that local governments choose to provide financial assistance. Can you elaborate on the local cost of this legislation?
I yield to the chair of the Appropriations Committee.
Yeah, I actually can answer that because some time ago there was a new delegate who introduced a bill called Live Near Your Work. That this, I believe, is patterned after. And Live Near Your Work, which is a loan program for people who live near institutions or near businesses that choose to participate in this program. The company or college provides a certain portion of the money, like down payment on a house, and local governments can elect to participate. And in Baltimore City, we do. So that's why it says that in this fiscal note. Because if Baltimore City decides to participate in this program, just as they are Live Near Your Work, they would have expenditures that might incur because of this program.
Okay, so it's not listed in the bill, but it's sort of expected that should this be funded and be enacted, that local jurisdictions, some of the example, the example that you gave is that they are providing. There is an example where there is some kind of support. So I guess it would be the local jurisdiction would decide that they're going to contribute to these.
It's voluntary. I assure you.
And then how would it get funded? Were there other housing programs that money would come from to fund this? Where would it's not funded. It's
I will tell you I can only speak from the Baltimore City perspective, okay? Baltimore City appropriates a certain amount of money into this fund. Local colleges and businesses that participate set aside money each year in their budgets, and when they have employees that want to buy a home in a catchment area near the workplace, many of them, and the program's different. They differ from college to college, from corporation to corporation, or business to business. They usually help with the down payment. That's what Live Near Your Work does. And so I'm very sure that the reason for this wording is it's modeling kind of what we do with Live Near Your Work.
Thank you. I understand it more clearly now.
Is there any further debate? Hearing none, SB 637 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 121 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 637, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
Senate Bill 800, Inmate Training and Job Act of 2021.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 103 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 800, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Conference Committee report, Senate Bill 509. The clerk will read the bill and the Conference Committee report.
Senate Bill 509, National Capital Strategic Economic Development Program, eligibility, amendment number 1.
Recognizing the chair of the Conference Committee report in the annex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Conference Committee has met. We have adopted the House position for the Montgomery County boundary for fiscal 22 and 23, and also adopted the House position on sustainable communities beginning in fiscal 24. Move the Conference Committee report.
The motion before the House is to adopt the Conference Committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Conference Committee report is adopted. Senate Bill 509 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 104 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 509, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Message from the Senate. Senate bills introduced in the House. The clerk will read the bills and committee assignments.
Senate Bill 810, Senator Feldman, House Rules, by order of Sylvia Seeger, Chief Clerk.
Yea and nay. Consent calendar 13. House bills passed in the Senate. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 429.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the reading of House Bill 429 be considered the reading of all the bills on the calendar.
So ordered. Will the committee chairs please come forward, please? Everyone, please listen up. We're going to take a break and come back at 6:30. And you know what I'm going to say. We're going to call on the committee chairs who have some announcements. So, and the committee chairs, economic matters.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Economic Matters Committee will meet at 6 o'clock to continue its voting session.
Appropriations.
The House Appropriations Committee will meet at 6 o'clock for a voting session.
Judiciary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the House Judiciary Committee will vote at 4:30. 4:30.
Health and Government and Operations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That committee will vote at 4:15 today.
Environment and Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Environment and Transportation Committee will vote at 6 o'clock.
Ways and Means.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That committee will vote at 4:30, and the Education Subcommittee will vote at 4. Just a few bills and concurrences. Thank you.
Okay. Any other announcements? Okay. Okay. Any other announcements? Okay. Quorum call before adjournment.
Madam Speaker?
Clerk will take the call. There being 136 members present, the House is still in session, recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand adjourned until Monday, April 12th, 6:30 p.m., Legislative Day, March